akwenya kesia one say ya onimako Paul ede amame
yes say you to safro but the last time I born komo e ha say na oye CEO e wo Komfo teaching hospital me kaipa for some time uni Komfo ebiem me kai say ebra aban sesa bae no na Ghana for dodo no a titinu ni bomru no uhwe social media ni ade adodo no a e ka se there be Professor Ochirade Mensah de enu kwan se yesesa no se CEO ewo Komfo aban no nkoso a e ma wontina wo na yi odwuma because ensachaya wo de ba Komfo no adwuma yefo mehwe time amoye send off workers a ne binum ensu ni ade no kire adwuma na wo ye ewo Komfo sabre no mu no na wo feel saying social media de nkrofo ka
kwa me dase mameva nchakese ma etiefo nyina the kinds of meda His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo, the former president, for the opportunity he gave me. Namada Asenso Boache, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Bantima, former Minister for Works and Housing, for the very key role he played so far as my appointment in the area concerned. Then Nasia, it can't see a power no media ma grew up from so Nana say too. For the role he played, and or strong kwa or danedi leadership strong kwa or danedi a man kuku si set Marco Yejuma or Komfo. Mr. Yejuma or Komfo on the 1st of December 2022. You recall, say the letter directing that I be made the CEO was such as to have me start work on the 2nd of November. But in the same because Kukusi eventually the 1st of December I got the opportunity to start. I've always believed say the positions are mawa. It's a huge responsibility, especially given the fact that Komfo Teaching Hospital now the second largest teaching hospital in the country. And in terms of operations, coverage a wider coverage than even the premier hospital in Ghana, Kolibu Teaching Hospital. At the time I'm even freeholder responsible for referrals from 12 out of the 16 regions in Ghana. One of the major things na Komfo when I stepped in was apathy. And there was a need for me to work together with the 7 directors and the deputy directors to bridge the gap between management and the staff. Na who say yebusuan baako ye ba say ye be adwuma say de be ya o mine ebedi ye ni pay wom no so edi ye. It was quite a difficult one. Na I don't think that it would be fair for me to suggest that me call no certainly not. I believe that see any pay the and so I believe that I did the work to the best of my ability. Now close to my first handing over notes dated the 11th of November 2024. It was one clear month before the elections were held. It was because I knew that even if I was going to stay at Komfo, there was a need for me to have a certain handover notes because it was going to mark a transition from one government to another government. The toss would be na betumi so aba say immediately after the election. If Rebecca say kokot na fie na odwuma na oye ansa na obeba Komfo no kokoye and I said obeko be before kra. In whichever way I was prepared. Then the elections came on the 7th of December. The National Democratic Congress won. Indeed, around that time, before the end of the year, I contemplated a friend saying, leaving Komfo.
Now,
it was because I was quite conversant with the kind of politics Ghana, a winner takes all, and that because you have been appointed by the previous government, formed by the different party, necessarily when the party and another party wins and forms government, there will be calls for you to step aside because the other party will also think that they won't go for and obviously so because I am in touch with and perish the thought. I'm sure that whatever role it is I'm playing. So on the 27th of February, and I'm handing over notes for. After the contemplation, pennyphobia me budia any and make a side catcher in the nah, I'm doing a good job, and that there was a need for me to continue with it, at least up to a certain point. And that was it. Then on the 1st of May, Name war Takrade. 1st of May was a Thursday. And I had gone with me the tennis fraternity called Takrade Kobo Tennis in Kekao. Then I had a call. Said the minister wanted to meet all the CEOs of the teaching hospitals.
Minister of Health.
Minister of Health, the Honorable. And me flight the next morning, Friday, a call to the ministry. In fact, now the boards of the various teaching hospitals, together with other agencies of the Ministry of Health, now swear in. Now, conspicuously missing was the names of the CEOs who are by default members of the boards. It was that's a BB, you know. And the swear in we any the information man said the minister would want to see us in the train. After a long wait, about an hour and a half, the minister asked to see me. In fact, many other CEOs I kept telling them because everybody was jittery, and I was telling them that no. I don't think it has to do with them. I think it has to do with me.
Okay.
What had happened here? The minister had gone to Tamale, NEDC or Tamale, you know. And Tamale had a new CEO, acting CEO. And he called me, and I have a very good relationship with the Minister of Health, and it's because I attended upon the Select Committee on Health. I know a ranking member. As CEO, and once upon a time he had an accident. It drew us closer because he called me around 11:30 p.m. Around 11:45 I was there. The following morning was a Sunday, and you know, as a sign of good gesture, the bill the hospital waived. And it was because it was complimentary for people like that. It was a bill saying about 2,000 cities. Honorable Kwabena Mintakando could have paid without blinking. It became an issue. Komfo say, I'm sure you are well aware of.
And so what the hospital they check.
Okay. And because they're on Komfo, but what they forget is that when you are the CEO of Komfo, for example, or of any other institution for that matter, and you may be complementary to the position you occupy. But Senka, you bet me as a CEO of Komfo, so you are in a hospital, he should be in the position to pay for the bill. But when he goes, he's not supposed to pay. Meanwhile, but that's a discussion for another time. And and also, when you be a friend saying, Chief Executive of Komfo, and I'm so okay. Into the Ben on person Nipaneba. And I'll see any time from now. And I'm so okay. It was a Friday. And I'm catching and say, I'm at free takrade in a bar. Into on me up to Tuesday. And that Beko takrade Monday I would have a meeting with my management because I want to be able to tell them, said this is it, and that the following day, Tuesday, and I would want to meet the staff and bid them farewell. And also, semi pay more weeks, me pay weeks crowd. I think that Tuesday, and so I got back, and then on Monday, I had a last meeting around 9 o'clock with the management, and I told them what had happened, that I was leaving. I was leaving as a very happy man, and that staff just so I could bid farewell. And then they organized a staff deba. We invited the incoming CEO, Dr. Pakwisi Beidou, and then we addressed them together. And then I left. You saw the emotion. I believe that there were people who felt, given the kind of work they thought I was doing. But like I said from the beginning, I didn't think that I was entitled to staying at Komfo Anokye merely because people thought that I had done a good job. Especially for one who is very cognizant of the kind of politics and that giving a change in government from one party to another necessarily Obi will hold a position within that government. Your chances of staying are probably less than 0.5%.
Also, bra, unis other CEOs no kushia na minister here. No can't you say? I
thought it was me. I'm sure you want to ask me. Say, who say the honest truth is that nothing had happened. Na enye or obian can be being chair me say about be you and now be. But I was aware that there were full soldiers of the party NDC who were not happy with the fact that I was there. And one of the things they cited was the fact that I was a member of the manifesto committee, the health manifesto. Is it health manifesto or manifesto health committee or whatever it is? Yeah,
health committee
of the. It was on social media and usually when signing man start here, people try to throw mud at you, as my own kind because what kind of my own cry because why and all that. Say MPP The truth is that I have never shied away from the fact that I am MPP. I am a patron of the party in Ashanti region. I serve on the disciplinary committee of the party. But I believe that when it has to do with health, when it has to do with education, and the others we should be as non-partisan, apolitical as much as possible. And I believe that as I sit here, I can beat my chest and say that of the 28 months I'm spending with Komfo Anokye, no single person can point out a certain decision I took, and I say, no, I can say, and nam say me MPP and na say nam say no ye NDC ntina sa de nsi ade bia ye bia no ade a na yesusu say so far as the hospital was concerned, if we wanted the hospital to progress, that was the way to go.
Would you say food soldiers no or more pressure or more demand and ma abani decided so on best sound?
I think so. Also my culture was en komo bi wo hono ma metra ha say dia sebi in producer na na me hunu nyansa sebi o sebi so oni panyin kasa na echi ubetna bedwum na nkoma panyin ni udi no ye ti free wanu a sebi in producer no we nyantete pa enti ye di si ho e beboa. But I am convinced that it was the pressure from the full soldiers that was mounted on leadership of the government and of the party and the man a bass and it was a free.
Okay, you read the Heal Komfo Anokye project. Right. Your biggest achievement, Komfo Anokye Teaching Hospital.
Right.
And sana who free hono. Now Heal Komfo Anokye project in Sena City.
Okay, if as I'm a free Komfo Anokye no, near 2 floors. I was 3 wards: A5, A4, A3. Now akasi be A2 and A1. My main kawaha and so say as we speak, you were a niema yedibeye and I niema yedibeye 1 block is the whole of B block. Any 2 floors now akao A block no. Any niema kakra total value 12.9 million Ghana cedis. As I speak with you now, PWD 4 yard I'm sure that if you went to PWD now and asked to speak to the regional engineer because once upon a time not too long ago, or the media for a coco share a near man a go papers I walk home and then keka
a near man more crowd and no now call for waiver
no I can't not tiles in the count tiles in the call for waiver.
Okay,
and unfortunately degenerating into what it degenerated into. Eventually government to 1.1 million. In fact, there was a Ministry of Finance say part of the corporate social responsibility. I think that decision not to waive any the distance now mass I didn't travel was uncalled for. It was unnecessary. I didn't think that it was a government. You see, the point is this. Yeah, Busuan Penny. Busuan Penny, if you Busuan Fio, I say, Sebi in previous and what Busuan Penny also hear me here. and abusua panyi sika ni wo ho a obetimi de aye and am said there are other responsibilities and I offer say Paul ya ni makwa ba ho abeka kire wo say o namfonom any corporate institutions bi wo ho a and am say abusua fie no obi aba ho no oba betena obi abesue no say ye de to o manimu a o mbetimi ama isika kakra me de aye and also you ojitu and ya ni makon start here go for way ba en komodidi enu ano ena kwa me din kra frɛ no ka che ne sɛ wakoto 20 bags of cement ana ko di ko ye na dwuma bi nanso so giving the agency of the project or I na adwin sɛ opese audit 20 bags of cement ne che na mo fa nye adwuma no na ta 20 bags of cement no e wo tech ridge road inti ya ni makompe card won fa ma mefa na ya nu akukọ wo abusuampanyi wo beka kire wo abusuampanyi ne se kwame adinkra de o kanie inti abusuampanyi o pick up na esi ho no fama ye ne fa konko fa ene ma ne fa ma abusuampanyi se Paul ya ni makwanto ye friend is saying petrol angu car num dia ene won fa ma ne se bi predu asa ase ni ntwetwe aso it has been the responsibility of government to do that renovation, that retooling in Keka. But obviously government could not have done it alone. And a corporate society, individuals, philanthropists, abase omoba aba. Omakoto niema no de niema neighbor, aba be drew pot. Usi chinchira just omutua a friend is saying a twansa and san and niema na omode beye juma na osenka wo ye na we anye no. Come on.
You think that no will be yes to tarnish your image and
well. I don't think that a yes will be bonitrimo po so ye they are tarnishing my image. In fact, if there's any image tarnishing, that was Adi Winwa. I'm sure that you know whose image was tarnished. It was that of government because it was totally unnecessary. At some point, obi so best a letter na ye throw for way no yancho ntemenya no kre. If anybody tells you that the letter was not written at the time it was supposed to be written, it's a lie. I challenge anybody to come out now. One of the faults of the government at the time, because my point is that at the end of the day, it was a buying responsibility. It is a buying now open so be some see ya. Next was say ye tiles ba na ta ena onim na aban enyi sika ntua ma obi o. I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say. Eniema na ye dey ba no. It is not as if say o say aban koko tua sika ma a third party bi ena aban say dey say sika no ntua say sika na e ba ono ane ho. What did they mention us? But you have it is our tiles in a big go. We have tiles for one block and the 2 floors that are left. And your electrical fittings for the entire block and your friend is saying 2 floors now. It will go PWD.
Yeah.
But what it is, the project has stalled. I'm sure that any moment from now, Ebesha Ashasi, because there was some miscommunication, some misinformation. Any clarity was not sought. But I understand that when anytime there's a change in leadership, what happens? There are a lot of people who will come to you and say a lot of things, and it becomes your responsibility to sit and sieve through and ask the right questions of the right people, and then you take a decision. So when you're careful now. Adia back one can be brave over doing sanity. You go along with it.
Miscommunication about it because accounts and answer day because Kasem bin more crowd why into me account for near the day.
Bia catcher also beat me account for Sikabia is a big lie. One of the schemes people adopt when do you want to run people down and kick a home and in tournament. So I'll tell you what. First of all, they didn't even know that we had 12.9 million cedis worth of Enema Eguedum PWD yard. They didn't know. That's the first point. 2, we had some money in the account. In excess of 1 million cedis and some thousands of dollars. And so into when somebody looked at the amount in the account and said, and they said, not knowing that, and the reason we bought all those things was the CD dollar rate. It made sense. And in fact, Joshua, one of the people who gave us 6 million, he gave us 6 million Ghana cedis. In fact, one of the things he told me in the presence of witnesses, and he said, "Sir, your friend is saying no. He hopes to say but that you better near man said you beya Sikani value and Komfo. And it was sir advice no. They are told to people thought and before now you be an account for the Hill Anokye project, it had to be registered. So on register Oko bank so could be account now. Omon penny my own be account. But Fidelity was working with Komfo Anokye at the time. And Fidelity said, we will open the account for you, but make sure that it gets registered. So it was registered as a charity foundation limited by guarantee. The moment you register it as a charity foundation limited by guarantee, what it means is that and yet subject to the public procurement law, it is not subject to the Public Financial Management Act. And that say Obiba no susu say the public procurement law dictates say mo koto sa ade we a e wo say mo ye ABCD no he na sa ABCD ne ya anya e kire say mabumra nti wo say e de mo kokko. That was the thinking of many people. Now for a project like that, if subject to the public procurement law, this is what is likely to happen. Say we say to sa laptop we in a year juma, it could take 3 months, it could take 4 months. 2, the amount I better sika better sa laptop we you go open market na 100 cedis. When you go through the procurement process, they born be cost. But what the mentioners. That was the advantage of getting it registered as a company limited by guarantee. Now another thing, when people heard that it had been registered, they thought that Mensah now register. But let me state it clearly here. Directors of the foundation, Minkahu. Secretary to the foundation, Minkahu. And ask when it was registered. It was registered in March 2024. But what
March 2024.
If it had been registered around April, February 2025, when I was about leaving, then I didn't remember what he said. And you had Addai or more registered, that's all continue or tries. No. March 2024. Incorporation, that was when it was incorporated. They've written to the registrar of companies, Midi, NIM, and then most importantly, an audit. Because of Otumfo's abiding presence on the project. And as you may know, Nema to say Otumfo Foundation and the other one, Kotoko, Atenehne, and a audit no. Into companies, Asamoah Bonsu, one of the foremost auditors in the region. They did an audit. So Kaya, I'm sure it was not on this radio, but the architect on the project on Akuma FM stated, so if it established that one peswa empo cannot be accounted for, he will buy a gun, buy the bullet, and ask to be shot in a public space. Because when you have the opportunity to serve the king, Otumfo say to the seconder, you don't joke with it. But what did they mention? Sure. Again, he made that point. I don't know no say it was a bonus. Now CEO the CEO's role was only advisory. There are a lot of people who thought, say this can be see Addai Mensah. Now Addai Mensah we near the so no sign near checker. Sign it. There were 3 people I signed the check at every material moment. And for me, because he's the architect on the project, he's the project lead, and I have to see his signature and sign it. Then again, one of the things they said, because there was a document that was out, somewhere project there was a subcontractor for MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, or the estimates by the estimate not also. But you see, Obia unim project management so be this idea and what happens? They say this side in so share near validate. Say validate a lot of the time what happens? They say If I saw the $1 million now, Momo here must say $200,000. Inti mumi no be share out in the quantity survey beba with quantity survey beba no ma share no ma ye. Let me give you an interesting one. In that estimate na contractor na the buy na lift installation any decommissioning any training na $20,000 near true. Today decommissioning of the lift was done for $50,000.
Then near 20,000.
Decommissioning, installation and training. Near $20,000. Ne what? Sir, document. Decommissioning was done at 50,000. Installation and training or the invoice aba 71,000 Ghana cedis. What it means then is that so be the abia sa bro the other side invalidate stamp so now on the nam abontisa say na also mutua ne nkeka ho you are making a mistake. A chair say you are ignorant or uneducated so far as your friend is saying project management
concern.
And so those are some of the near man in nkeka ho ne nkeka
the miscommunication
no because in all this I thought said the nanke bitimi silly no say anke bia a call is placed to me or to the a friend is saying team. The team has a discussion and then says that wait Debbie. Wait, there's one on the way, but there's a need for us to sit down because who's to say. But the good news is that I have had discussions with the friend saying the present CEO. I think about 3 weeks ago, and the way is clear now. None. The friend is saying, Mr. Michael Joe. Was part, discussions were held, and clarity has been brought. Audit has been done. It has not established that one sitting po could be. In fact, Maminka we into us na so architect no, and then a quantity surveyors no. What it is, yes, per the Ministry of Works and Housing documents, no, they are supposed to get about 16.5% of the total project sum. Not even one city. In the architect in the team, no, FI say a yomo sika was here the mom. Then I sacrifice. 2, at no meeting of the team, any serve a dianimpo. The farthest anybody went at 7, the team when they met ANSU. See a piano could do if me bottom, if Iceman a project architect, and I Jerry a bottom or more Makani bottom. No allowance, not even one city was given to anybody as allowance.
Solely
yes,
for the project.
Yes. The audit has proved it, so proven. Now, some people be prayed as a idea echo or anyhow. But everybody who needs to know knows. Say that is what is happening.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'd say Professor Addai Mensah is a critical thinker, astute, tough, and forthright. Or say I love listening to him. He's a great faculty. Don't crucial summer for that. Additional 10 minutes at the account. So don't crucial summer the metro. Thank you. But Doc, after we hear Komfo everywhere. Edi na obeka se oko Komfo a okoye adwuma no ensachaya wo de baya na edewa kuma so pe ne so utwe wani hwa wani ji pa
because Komfo I think that the first day I was asked say me vision then what do I want to see happen and I me buso almost say yeah it has here if we're unwell and all the hospitals in Accra were in Kumasi near the opportunity to choose which hospital I was here there. How many of us would choose Komfo? Obviously, very few of them. Into my aim, and I say we should get to the point where about 95% at least of us who work here at Komfo say area, you be choosing Komfo say Ahoni FM-Accra. 2, apathy, and that there was a big divide between your friend is saying. Staff and then management. As of the time I'm free on, the apathy had not gone totally But from a scale of 1 to 10, it had improved at the level of 9/10. People were happy. Time also be to a large extent, but everybody was happy working. I think that, and no, apart from the very many tangible things, so when we are intangible, but very tangible things, say, maybe a physiotherapy, these two, because you see, when you have a staffer, or more apathetic, or staffer, or more baby, or more juma, or more dangerous. But when it got to a point, and then we realized, say, or more Accra no do na so more yare near the omo ba Komfo Anokye ayen ha omo. The tosu mienu, sa divide na work between staff and a friend saying no management na akofom every holiday. Na staff a year juma be 1,200, 1,300. Near video mo be a lunch pack. Because elsewhere, on holidays when you work, you get time and a half or double the time. You see, me call Komfo Anokye na revenue generated in a week na 1.1 million.
In a week.
As the time I was living was about 3.3 million average in a week. Imagine that we had one holiday every month and we're spending 50,000 cedis on this feeding. 50, 52, 48 area once every month. Do you think it is wrong? And Komfo na generate sikano, I improve from 1.1 to 3.3. So you move 50,000 cedis out of about 12.4 million cedis a month. Now you move 50,000 at the toll lunch, at the more, at the end why? What to the
to encourage them.
Then you had directors who were on duty on weekends and on holidays. And the management presence during holidays and a friend is saying bye. But I think that the new CEO will do a good job. Komfo Anokye is a very big place. And it can be potentially overwhelming. There's some transition. I'm sure that now he's gotten his hands on the beer was in Sasobia. And so my expectation is that we'll see an upward movement so far as Komfo Anokye and the name consent.
Okay. So KNUST?
Yes, sir.
At the same
after 28 months. Yes, I'm back to the Department of Medical Diagnostics, Faculty of Allied Health Sciences, KNUST. I still had time I work on Komfo Anokye, now PhD students me supervising 4 PhD students and some MPhil students. Some MPhil students graduated even when I was at it feels good to be back, and especially with a very warm reception that was accorded me when I got back. Me call back me free Komfo Anokye 5th May, 6th May, and I'm resuming. Okay, yes.
That's all. No rest for you.
Rest from there. Rest from there.
From CEO now. Who compare CEO now to talk Komfo KNUST.
Yeah, but at CEO, I was not a regular CEO per se. I was part of the staff, and I'm sure that if you go there now and ask, they'll tell you. I was part of the staff. Just
one Komfo Anokye. Go through wards.
Exactly. Me bag na me mo bianje. Life na me bono. And it was because I didn't want to get used to people carrying my stuff. Ba kudru baby. Na fi obi ani ho a oje. No when you say hanjo.
But say me did say what Nancy one monitor near Makakra. The political space
interesting. And Mamini Kanka, then a new patriotic party because it's the major opposition, and then the NDC and NDC in government. The 2024 election, none like any other election that has been had in the history of the Fourth Republic.
Angel.
The loss was huge.
The MPP.
Yes, 41%.
Now you say huge loss no more.
Well,
the record.
I say MPP lose here by that kind of margin.
But now you say lose.
Well, it's an election. And it was obvious that there were many people who were not happy with a lot of things that had gone on. There were people who were not happy within the MPP who were not happy with some of the appointees. In fact, I dare say many of the appointees. And sometimes you can understand them. Say, ususu say or no, why are Juma na party na power? Some position say I'm okay. Only a money beer in ye. But what the majors? Your man knows our position be in ye. And now, ya are there Mensah when your opportunity now. Into Bibi Kakrebi or Sheshe. Sometimes, so bow plum or scratch and achiana, ahageno. No, I catch say, oh, obey. Even when you know, say, won't mean yet, or catch and so obey. But when they meet you, now person be share omodo masembe 20 now person be timpo na kusisi wa catch so won't mean ya. Sometimes it hurts. And sometimes when they are cocksure, say, dear way dear. There's every indication say but they are now. And there were people within the party who were not happy. And there were people in the middle, floating voters, who were also not happy. One of the major things, they need to change Ken Ufuriata as
the finance minister.
Yes. It was a big blow.
And affecting government.
Probably the biggest blow to the MPP as a party in government. It was because nipa bisa bi ebu nua gu omasum e ma ye kan sem a omuntie be that as it may, the party lost. Fortunately, they put together a Anokye committee on my own findings, recommendations about the venerable friend say Oseche Mensah Bonsu headed a committee almost similar work in Ashanti region. I haven't seen the reports, but I can bet my last coin. So some of the findings, some of the recommendations will relate to the leadership. Right. Do you think that Sally de Sekrona ni san Komfo also omoshe no implement our recommendations? I have been under the impression, say, having the benefit of the Anokye committee report, there was the need to put together a team. And I was looking at party your national chairman bear 3, 4, 2 who are alive and within the party. Your Komfo general secretary. Can you imagine what we could have done with these people? Put them together, a committee of 5. Tax them with the responsibility of implementing the recommendations. Tax them with the responsibility of managing the party up until timer, elections. Near constituency leaders, regional leaders, and national leaders. But if the very people, some of whom may have been cited in the report, are the very people who are supposed to be implementing the recommendations, then again, because of the nature of the loss, the reasons that have been ascribed, it appears to me that the leadership have lost their power to assert themselves. It's the reason why people will talk anyhow and nothing happens.
Because leaders no crown.
Yes.
Yes.
And so far as I am concerned, knowing very well that there's a certain role you ought to have played, which role you did not play, which has been captured in that report. Oh yeah, dear. Now to leader now yeah, they are now to initiate because say say obi nim di wom and one here the background be pages as me diaba.
And ama in this in discipline.
Yes, it is at the heart of the
indiscipline. Yes.
The moral authority to correct others in a way. And then again, leaders may not have publicly stated their affiliations or otherwise to particular people so far as 31st January election year concerned. But it is obvious, even to the disinterested observer, where each leader belongs. the moment a besan, it becomes quite difficult for you. So all kind of cranium power. The people on the other side, meanwhile, Ebian can Ukraine now can. Until the omuntimi asset omuhubio. To say a choir never send communtimi asset.
Would you say today there been more cancer executives in Mumne was and Kayasano, sa top down approach now party no year no, then who quite and come here and
top down approach, then again, top down approaching. It has its pros, it has its cons. To the extent that's a large chunk of the every supporters of a Nipa or Moshe Sumbebe flag for the party. The understanding is that CAS the anywhere. The friend is saying, because they didn't do a honey free back. But even in that decision, look at the number of people who came to speak against it openly. Does that happen in the NDC?
No.
Sure. NDC, when leadership takes a position, look, anybody who has studied good dynamics will agree that the moment I want more than one person in a group, chances are that a decision be taken, you would have people dissenting. And so in the NDC, when decisions are taken, there are people who do not like those decisions that have been taken. But how often do you hear them come out and say, I'm so?
The chairman of the party called thank you to. And MP back because who did you or thank you to? Are they MPs are apologize?
Yes.
So one can
yes. But contrast that with what happens in the MPP. Sebi previous. I know na honorable Sampa ko kaya ko yenya asem. I say search for then Komfo be friends. It is because Sebi obie ni nyansa. When leadership takes a position, now only leadership in Yaduna. I think that the best thing to do is say we call mon China ni omakoakoka. But when the BI do say some betrana make us sa 31st January then nenye ense come here sa ne nkeka what am I doing? Me twa masi akunya.
Okay, Kopat you take decision.
The decision has been taken. And there's no need to cry over spilt milk.
Okay.
But but the moment ya nyesa de no near babedu baby entry. I just hope and pray. Say the last breath as our leaders no ewo wo mumu no. Or meet me they are still part na kunkusi the 31st of January when the election will be held. Okay, you have 3 minutes.
Sure. 10 months of President John Dramani Mahama. How do you see the administration?
I have had opportunity to sit back and observe John Dramani Mahama as an individual. I was having a little conversation with Paul Nimako. The catch and say, it appears to me, so not as an individual, or you're committed, or person or you know ye Juman in Kikao, near my papa on fan talk in Kikao. But ni failure, a be free, and I say a free the people around him. But there are certain decisions that are being taken, which decisions are not necessarily cleared with him, but ultimate responsibility in the honor and the education, because now buying and there are many of such decisions. I don't want to go into them, but I believe that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man.
The people are around.
Yes. It's the same thing we said of the Nanado government. That there were certain decisions that Nanado was supposed to take, which decisions he did not take. Ne efa Komfo a one Komfo a ben no any niema omoye ana niema omonye. There were people who had issues with the fact that Ajimamenu stayed in office for that long. At some point when it was almost clear to everyone that Enima are touch man and Kikao, he made certain statements. The president had a light-hearted moment with it when he went to Doma. But in politics, it is not only about Adia Oye, but Adia Nipani who say Oye and so Oya. It is all the Nipani Koko shed them now to more demo. To the people out there, the optics, they haven't seen it. The understanding is that Nipa Adia Nenye was Uchinenim, went to me and Chinenim. I am sure that today, as we speak, Ghanaians are having the opportunity to do comparisons between Nanado government and the John Dramani Mahama government. There are a lot of people who would say, rightly so, that early days yet, the government is 10 months, has been in power for 10 months. And that over 10 months now they compare the entire period and Nanado or now the SR comparison now, M1. But I'm sure that as a student of history, we are penning down all the things that are happening. At the appropriate time, when you give us the opportunity, we would have, I'll say, and our impressions about how far he's gone so far.
But basically, as a lecturer, will be written the same.
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'd give him 6.5 over 10. I'm not a mean lecturer.
Inflation is down, the CD is a bit stronger.
Yeah, but say, like they have said in the past, Sanima we say Munina means nothing or mean nothing unless it reflects in the pockets of the people. Is it reflecting in the pockets of the people? I'm sure that sitting at where you are, or in a better position to tell me whether or not it has reflected in the pockets of the people, because you interact with the people every now and then. Into what dear, see Busawa, Ubi send a message, but I say, answer our question. Say, has it reflected in the pockets of the people?
The bigger institution, KNUST, a whole community, and also a better position to tell me.
Paul will be bail you out. Paul, bailing out.
Prof, yeah, that's it.
Miss me, that's it.
Say no buy. Me, Judy say I acquire any money there. Baby, I drew the victim, a brand na, ya, bo,
that mean, yeah.
By a boy, Basun, or call Komfo, not your way, and must say,
Naka, say, baby, I made the bedroom. So, catch him say, yaw. When baby, I could be uncle and be Okra, I'll be forever grateful to him because it's been a very tortuous journey, and Nyami and Jimabro, me that's it. The Munina Masin so for the support you gave me. No credit said, na you say I want to cry the money you can see. Something Kenya make your favorite saying. 90 me damn ni na me hu se mo wo ho. Now the beauty about your relationship is say comfort in chair omonim ade ani nko ya obefre me aka chem say Jack I had say ni me kai say wo only Evans e ba me ho and you were complaining about
omo edida
e ho no me dem kokko kire mo say
Addai ayisi amo
na challenges e wo ho ne nkeka ho and no money affair. I don't think that it was say all praises. I think that nipa bia no also Komfo a obetimi sitra asem na ka kire e kwan also of aso kano and still remain as close as he is. Okay. I don't take your friendship for granted. Nyanisham.
Professor Dr. Oche Addai Mensah. Prof Edasi say and
Prof man sorry answer. Asida Sonko and the man onim enipa atwe no for such an interview enye since in the exit from Anokye or go back to KNUST. Kwame enya asem keto Komfo atwe TV and Ghana de nyina no radio or TV station but ohwe ebusua Anokye he's here. Hey Bibia, we also don't take it for granted. I'm borrowing from him. He doesn't take it for granted. Yes, yes, I say. Yami Saro. Don't so under. What me here? Oh, Sama. I thought that also oh you. What me here? Watch time. Okay, I said that Zuba. What me chat time? Me so Sama time. Baby, yes, you but.